Assalamu alaikum, all of you guys. I really hope I am audible to all of you. Anyone can tell me, am I audible? Okay. Okay, so welcome to this session as known as Artificial Intelligence for Emerging Technologies. And the agenda of today's session is to impact the future of artificial intelligence to every industry and every human being. So before this, I want to introduce myself. I am Hafiz Mohammad Attaullah. I am MVP and ambassador at deeplearning.ai, Karachi section lead at IEEE Extreme 15.0, MCT, CCAI, and SME at Certiproof. So let's start with our speaker introduction, who is none other than Dr. Sunder Ali Khowaja. So, Dr. Sunder Ali Khowaja received the Ph.D. degree in Industrial and Information Systems Engineering from Hankuk University, University of Foreign Studies, South Korea. And also, he's currently an assistant professor and chairman at Department of Telecommunication Engineering, Faculty of Engineering and Technology, University of Sindh, Pakistan. And also he had the experience of working with multinational companies as network and radio frequency engineer. He is also a researcher and regular reviewer of notable journals including IEEE Transactions, IET, and Springer's journals. He has also served as a TPC member for workshop in A-star conferences such as Globecom and Mobicom, and his research interests include the data analytics and machine learning for computer vision applications. And obviously, we could not think of better person of you to be helping this session on such an important and like trending topic, that is artificial intelligence for emerging technologies. So let's have a round of applause for our speaker. And yeah, this is ready. Can everybody be exciting? So before kicking off, we want this session clean and focused. So let's keep this thing. Obviously, we will be entertaining your queries about the content that will be discussed here, but recommended that you deal these questions at the end of the session so that our moderator can forward this to the speaker and he can answer your queries in the appropriate manner. Other important thing to keep in mind, we will be sharing a feedback form during the session. So let you know how this session went for you or any general comment you may have, so can implement those in our future sessions. So you are requested to fill this form that you remain eligible for the certification that you will receive after the session, and we will be sharing this feedback form link in the comment box during the session is going on. So with that, I will handling it over to our speaker, Dr. Sunder Ali Khowaja, who will be taking the runs and will be introducing you all to the world of artificial intelligence and its emerging technologies. So let's get the session started. Sir, over to you.
Hello, assalamu alaikum. Let me know if I am audible to you. Is my voice clear?
Yes, sir, audible.
Okay. So can I share my screen somehow? Okay. Let me. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible now.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So let me just start. So, hello guys. My name is Dr. Sunder Ali Khowaja, and I'll be presenting my work on AI for emerging technologies and its future. Of course, you can visit my website, my personal website, which is of course not updated because of my laziness, and my YouTube channel. I sometimes upload my demo videos there, or you can contact me through the email. The details are mentioned here. So, just a quick introduction. I think a lot has been said by Attaullah, but just giving you a glimpse that I am an assistant professor at Department of Telecommunication Engineering, University of Sindh, Jamshoro, and I have around more than 5 years of experience working with AI, mainly with machine learning and computer vision technologies. But I do work with um, other form of machine learning techniques as well, like process mining and others. So maybe I'll not discuss those in these sessions. I'll be keeping the the topic tightly as possible, which is of course the AI for emerging technology. So I'll not be going into the details of other fields. I have also more than 3 years of experience working as a RF satellite engineer and network engineer at different multinational companies. My PhD is from South Korea and in industrial and information systems engineering, my master's in communication systems and engineering, and my bachelor's in telecommunication engineering. Now, there is a reason I am highlighting my PhD field, my master's field, and my bachelor's field, which I will again shed some light on when we will discuss uh, when we will discuss the diversity of the AI basically. So today, this talk will follow the structure as shown here. We'll first discuss the diversity of AI, not from the methods perspective, but from study fields perspective. I'll let you know that why I have chosen to add this a subtopic here. So, based on the discussion on diversity, we'll move to the new emerging technologies, which will support a discussion on diversity as well. We'll also discuss as to how the AI can be integrated with the emerging technologies to not only provide ease of life, but also to solve the holistic problems such as climate change. I'll briefly talk about some ideas that can be derived from the emerging technologies, some
Uh,
already implemented prototypes, and
Excuse
what
me,
can.
sir.
Yes.
Your slides are stuck at very first slide. So,
Oh,
can thank you.
is it visible now?
Uh, no, it's not.
Okay, let me share my screen again.
Yeah, yeah, it's now visible at about me slide.
And now it's not changing, or it has changed.
It is at about me slide.
Okay, so I think it's not changing at all. Is there any problem with the sharing?
Sir, can you please share the entire window? Then it is visible.
Okay, let me share the entire window then. So let me know now if it changes.
Yeah, now it's perfect.
It has changed to motivation behind today's session.
Yeah, yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the outline which I'll be talking about. So first we'll discuss the diversity of AI. Again, not from the field's perspective, but from the study field's perspective, not from the methods perspective at all. And we'll also discuss the basis for new fields and technologies which can be derived from the combination of emerging technologies and AI. We'll be uh, seeing that how we can use these emerging fields and AI to drive some new technologies, as well as to uh, discuss the future of AI, which can solve the holistic problems of the world, like climate change and all others. And also shout out to AlphaFold 2, which has just solved the protein folding problem, which has been uh, a 5 decades old problem in the field of artificial intelligence, and now they have come up with some uh, kind of very advanced methods that can do the protein folding in a very limited time, in a time where we can see it happening um, in kind of it can be seen as a real-time service, not just the offline service, but a real-time service. So actually the ones who know the history of artificial intelligence, they would know that we have come a long way from Bertie the Brain, which was a kind of a tic-tac-toe game in which the player would select the position for the next move from a grid of 9 lit buttons on a raised panel. So we all know the tic-tac-toe game, right? So computer would move it like make its move shortly after a pair of signs to the right of the playfield, alternatively lit up with electronic brain, and then X or human brain, and O marked which player's turn it was. And it would light up along with win when a player had won. So this was a kind of a very what would you say is black and white movie game which we were used to seeing back then. And the computer responded almost instantly to players moves, and at the highest difficulty level it was designed to be unbeatable. Now the problem here with this game is that there are limited possibilities which the computer has to search. Now if you take a kind of a checkers game or chess game or any other complicated game, you will see that there are many states which the AI program has to go through to make a decision at that particular instant. Now in this game there was limited states, so of course it would be very good and it would be easier to develop that kind of program. Now this was in 1950. Fast forward to 2016, we came to AlphaGo, and AlphaGo is a kind of a placing stones game on 19 by 19 grid, competing to take control of most of the territory. It is considered to be one of the world's most complex games, and it is much more challenging for computers than even chess. Now, the computer for the first time won the AlphaGo game from the champion Lee Sedol in 2016-2017. Now, going again 2 years forward, we the OpenAI actually designed a series of live competitions between the Dota 2 World Champion Team OG and the 5 bot team OpenAI 5. The AI won 2 matches back to back, settling the best of 3 tournament. It's a milestone that the top AI labs in the world have been frantically pushing toward in the last few years. Online games offer an opportunity to show off the strategic decision making, coordination, and long term planning skills of their creation. So it's not only just a kind of computer vision thing which was embedded in this, there was a lot of processing going on, which can be said as a diversified project, which can be categorized as a diversified project. Now, again, I recently shout out to the AlphaFold 2, and this is actually a transformative AI tool called AlphaFold, which has been developed by Google's sister company DeepMind in London and has predicted the structure of nearly the entire human proteome, the full complement of proteins expressed by an organism. I am not a biology guy, so I have very limited information regarding this. But if an AI system can pull off this feat, so it's worth studying about it. In addition, the tool has predicted almost complete proteomes for various other organisms, ranging from mice and maize to the malaria parasite. More than 350,000 protein structures, which are available through a public dataset, vary in their accuracy, but researchers say the source, which is set to grow to 130 million structures by the end of the year, has the potential to revolutionize the life sciences. And of course, this was actually announced, the competition was announced in 1950, which is a kind of a critical assessment of protein structure competition. And since 1950, this problem is uh, like researchers are trying to solve this problem. And in 2020, in late 2020, the AlphaFold 2 has made the breakthrough in this field. Now, again, going from this like tic-tac-toe to AlphaFold 2, I want to clear up some things which most of the people which come to like step up into the field of AI actually think of, that they could make this kind of robot. If one is familiar with this was a kind of an old cartoon, Jetsons, where it's a kind of a general purpose robot that can do anything their owners would tell them to. Now, in AI, we do not make the hopes very high. We do not tell the students that this can be achieved at this point of time. Okay, so uh, we are not yet to the general purpose intelligence, but we are yet to achieve a specific intelligence based on specific systems. Now we cannot do this at this point of time. We cannot kind of make a sentinel from X-Men movies. We cannot make an android from kind of Star Trek movies. We cannot make a HAL 9000 from Space One Odyssey. And from new movies, if you are familiar from those like Alita Battle Angel and Ultron or Vision, we cannot make these. AI is not here to do these kind of stuff right now. We are very limited with computation power, so we cannot do any of this at this point of time. Of course, the most realistic thing which I saw in movies was in Real Steel, where a robot can mimic the moves of its owners or the move of its master. But still, by seeing the response time, by seeing the kind of uh, uh, what you say is the sensory motor skills which can mimic in so much of real time, it's nearly impossible to even make this kind of robot at this point of time. Okay, so the clearing up some myths and moving on to the reality. Now, I have already told you that I'll let you know why I chose this to be included in this session. Now, as a telecommunication guy, which has done its bachelor's in telecommunication engineering, many people told me that why are you moving towards AI, or why are you moving toward data analytics, because you are not from computer science background. And the same thing I am experiencing with the students of today, because many students come to me and say that if we opt for a project, or if we opt for something which is related to AI, then of course we will not be given marks, or we will not be evaluated in the same manner as someone is doing a project in like telecommunication, specific telecommunication engineering topics such as 5G or antenna designing and all that. Now, one thing which I want to clear here is, which is again motivated by the writers of Artificial Intelligence, a Modern Approach book, it's that is a big field. We have tried to explore the full breadth of the field, which encompasses logic, probability, and continuous mathematics, perception, reasoning, learning, and action, and everything from microelectronic devices to robotic planetary explorers. This is all included in this book. It's not only about computer science, it's not only about electronics, it's not only about mechanical components. It's about how you approach to make a system using AI techniques. Now, let me tell you kind of a thing which happened to me, where I firmly believe that any of the person which belongs to any other field can bring a value to AI system. Now, during my PhD in the university, we had a discussion regarding a kind of IoT services and IoT system that can provide that can be provided with wearable sensors, like automatic action recognition system or healthcare system and all that. And suddenly, I thought that in telecommunication systems, what we do is we focus on the services, that how to provide services to the people when they are mobile. So bringing that value in IoT systems, that how we can make service provision a vital part of the IoT architecture, so that it could be more enhanced and it could bring more value to its customers. That would again add some value to the system. Now, I will not go into the details of how we did that, and I will not go into the details of uh, the other fields that can bring value to the AI system, but it's just one of the examples. Now, I am a signal processing guy, and when I meet with my computer science counterparts for a collaboration on AI system, my specialty is in designing the AI system with respect to the signal processing thing. And their collaboration brings a kind of a objective sense to what I am doing. So that's not that the kind of a myth, or kind of what you say is like old saying that computer science guy can own, like AI can be done only by computer science guys, or robotics can only be done by electronics, or a robot can be designed only by mechanical engineer. That's that's a norm, and that needs to be broken now. And all the fields, or the students from different fields can opt for AI without having a necessary background. Of course, they have to study what things needs to be studied, but they do not have to kind of think that AI, like they do not belong to the AI field. Okay, so the diversity of AI actually brings this. These are some of my projects which I did. So you can see that these are practical systems like GANs that can actually mimic the expressions of one face to another using a single image. And then, so this is a kind of a pose animator. Of course, it is done using computer vision techniques, but it does not mean that AI is computer vision. That's one of the other norms which needs to be broken, that AI is not computer vision, AI is not NLP. AI is much more than that. And this is a kind of a NLP system which actually can let you write the stories. You can actually write your own stories in conjunction with the AI system using this AI dungeon.io. So this is the website, and if you will go there, you can write a sentence, and some of the sentences will be um, like displayed by the computer system or the AI program itself. Okay, so now we are done with diversity. Now let's build up upon this. Now once we actually, today I was going through the emerging technologies from World Economic Forum, WEF, and they listed these emerging technologies, and I was thinking like this is completely in line with the diversity I was trying to exploit. Okay, so you will see that how the diversity comes into play when these emerging technologies from 2020. So these emerging technologies are the top 10 emerging technologies from 2020. Okay, so one is the virtual patient. It's like if the goal of swapping humans for simulations to make clinical trials faster and safer sounds simple, the science behind it is anything but. It's like you can just use digital twin technology. Okay, so the data taken from high resolution images of a human organ is fed into a complex mathematical model of the mechanisms that control that organ's function. And then computer algorithms resolve the resulting equations and generate a virtual organ that behaves like the real thing. Now, such virtual organs or body systems could replace people in the initial assessment of drugs and treatments, making the process quicker, safer, and less expensive. Now, in this case, if you relate it to the current pandemic situation, it would be better if this technology is already available, so that the tests could be conducted, or something, a more effective vaccination could be kind of uh, announced to eradicate this pandemic as soon as possible. Now, next is spatial computing. Now, this is the next step in bringing together of physical and digital worlds. We are already familiar with virtual reality and augmented reality apps. As with VR and AR, it digitizes objects that connect via the cloud, allows sensors and motors to react to one another, and creates a digital representation of the real world. But it goes even further, adding special mapping that lets a computer coordinator track and control the movements and interactions of objects as a person moves through the digital or physical world. So it's like you, if I can quote a kind of a movie reference here. So if you have watched Black Panther, you would have seen that how the T'Challa, if I am pronouncing it correctly, drive. It's like the car is driving by itself while one is controlling it in Wakanda, and it's like moving on the roads of South Korea. So it's like that, the special computing, by quoting a movie reference, of course. So this technology will bring new
Excuse me, sir.
development. Yes.
You are not audible now, right now.
Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, this spatial computing will bring new developments in how people and machines interact in industry, healthcare, transportation, and at home, of course. Yeah. Now, next is digital medicine. Now, this won't replace doctors anytime soon, that's for sure. But apps that monitor conditions or administer therapies could enhance their care and support patients with limited access to health services. Many smartwatches can already detect if their wearer has an irregular heartbeat, and similar tools are being worked on that could help with breathing disorders or depression, even Alzheimer's. Pills containing sensors are even being developed. These, the data which collects these values, are sent to kind of caregivers or doctors, which can tell you about your body temperature, stomach bleeding, or cancerous DNA if there is any. So if you kind of consider IOMT, Internet of Medical Things, or there was one term which I developed in my PhD, which was HIOTSP, Healthcare Based Internet of Things, Services and People, and now it has been evolved to IoE, Internet of Everything. So basically, you see that how the evolution takes place when it is integrated with better technologies um, concealed in the field of AI. Okay. So next is electric aviation. Now, as we are moving towards electric cars and all that, uh, this in this field, electric propulsion would allow air travel to cut out carbon emissions, slash fuel costs, and bring out big noise reductions. A host of organizations from Airbus to NASA are working on technology in this area, and while long-haul electric flights may still be some way off, and there are cost and regulatory hurdles, there is significant investment in this space. And I'll let you know in my proof of realism that how this actually works. So there are about 170 electric plane projects in development, mainly for private, corporate, and commuter travel. But Airbus says it could have 100 passenger electric planes ready for takeoff in 2030. Next is the low carbon cement. And of course, you would know that why this is one of the emerging technologies, because 4 billion tons of cement, a key component of concrete, are produced every year in a process that requires burning of fossil fuels. This accounts for around 8% of global carbon dioxide emissions. And due to the urbanization, which has increased which will increase over the next 30 years, this figure is set to rise around 5 billion tons. So there are startups which are actually coming forward for tweaking the balance of ingredients used in the process, employing carbon capture and storage technology to remove emissions, and taking cement out of concrete altogether. And you will see that now the structures are used, like flexible structures are used, or 3D printers are used to print the homes, and that because of reducing these carbon emissions. Quantum sensing is again one of the emerging technologies. Now imagine that the self-driving cars can see around corners, or portable scanners that can monitor a person's brain activity. Quantum sensing could make these things and much more a reality. These sensors operate with extreme levels of precision by exploiting the quantum nature of matter, for example, using the difference between electrons in different energy states as a base unit. Most of these systems are complex and expensive, but smaller, more affordable, and these are actually these will be available in way more near future. Now again, there are green hydrogen, whole genome synthesis, and sun powered chemistry. These are all again emerging technologies which are listed by World Economic Forum. I can go in the details of all these technologies, but I think you will get the idea that why we are doing this. So basically, these green hydrogen and sun powered chemistry, the motivation behind them is reducing the carbon dioxide emissions, and to have a sustainable solutions. For the whole genome synthesis, it's again related to biology, and you can see that I have already discussed AlphaFold 2. So that is one of the examples that can fit in this criteria. Now another emerging technologies which are listed by big thing are Internet of Everything, serverless computing, blockchain, and quantum computing. Now I think you will all be familiar with these uh, fields. Now Internet of Everything is the intelligent connection of people, processes, data, and things. So you will see the difference that Internet of Things is based only on things, and this is the amalgamation of people, process, and data. So IoE is basically describes a world where billions of objects have sensors to detect, measure, and assess their status, and they are all connected over public or private networks using standard and proprietary protocols. Now serverless computing here is, it doesn't mean that you do not have a server, and it's impossible to provide computational resources without a physical server somewhere. Instead, this technology distributes those resources more effectively. When an application is not in use, no resources are allocated. When they are needed, the computing power auto scales. So this is a kind of automatic what you say is activation of services when somebody is using it. So it can actually increase the ease of use and save the cost also. Now blockchain is a kind of a decentralized technology. The permanent record is not stored in one location but exists on nodes spread across the system. This design makes it difficult to lose records or tamper with them. This is why blockchain has caught the attention of organizations that need to store records, and the potential use cases are impressive. Blockchain could be used by hospitals to store and share health records. Suggesting about the hospitals, do you know that last month the whole medical facility of Ireland was crashed due to the attacks, the security attacks? Of course, blockchain was not implemented, but this could have been prevented if the conventional systems could be moved to decentralized technology. Again, it could underpin a secure online voting platform, it could track logistics across international supply chains, and of course, there are numerous applications for cybersecurity too. Now, quantum computing, if you are familiar with Google's work, they were working on quantum computing, and now bunch of big technology firms have stepped up to building the quantum computers, including IBM. And recently, there was this firm which received around, what you say is, $80 billion of funds from DARPA to make the quantum computers. So basically, the underlying technology is it uses the properties of quantum states such as superposition and entanglement to perform computation. It solves problems faster and more accurately. If anybody knows the kind of history of AI is there since 1945, but specifically in the range of 1990s and 2000, the boom of AI was quite declined. The main reason for that was the computing power. The computing power was not enough to perform machine learning operations. Now, since we have increased the computation power from 2000 to 2021, we have seen numerous state of the art systems that can do automated like things in an autonomous way, such as travel, self-driving cars and all that. Now imagine that this computing power could go further, like improve in an exponential way. So how many computing state of the art computing fields would we see in the near future with the help of this quantum computing? You can just imagine with this. So basically, these are much faster than supercomputers which exist today, and these machines already exist. IBM has announced plans to build a 1000 qubit version by 2023, and therefore we will see a kind of a computer that can do speedy simulations and solve multivariable optimization problems with quite ease. So if you are considering GPT-3, if you are familiar with that term, OpenAI actually announced GPT-3 in, I think, 2019 or 2020, which is the state of the art natural language processing system that is quite expensive to build. Now with the help of quantum computing, it can like work on the levels which we cannot imagine right now. So let's move towards that, how these emerging technologies can be the basis for new fields and technologies when integrated with AI. So this was actually my idea which we submitted in IEEE network. So you can see that in 6G communications, it needs to be connected, it needs to support air to air communication, ground to ground communication, ship to ship communication, ground to air communication, even it supports space, terrestrial, sea and ground communication. Now in this case, one needs to integrate AI technology to uh, like cope up with many things, because 6G is all about real time services, it's about mobile communication, it's about ultra low latency, it's about enhanced mobile broadband, it's about kind of supporting massive machine type communication devices. Now in this case, if AI is not integrated, then how would you kind of select that which services should be given to which users? Or let's say, if you want to reduce the latency or if you want to enhance the bandwidth, then you need to select the active user, you need to detect the active users. And there are many other kind of problems which are associated with 6G which can be solved with AI related technologies. Similarly, again, with the serverless computing, you can actually do this, like detect the idle users and active users and enhance the services based on their activeness. So you can actually perform AI technology for this. Or you can actually use this IOE based framework that could help you to monitor your health or monitor someone else's health based on wearable sensors, and then kind of activate a service in an autonomous manner. So if I can recall that there was a digital medicine that could be availed using these type of architectures, like internet of everything based architecture. So you will see that multiple emerging technologies can also be combined to make what you say is a system that could be helpful for human healthcare, as well as uh, like for the caregivers and for doctors. So one use case of that particular thing which I showed you is the kind of mental health monitoring, and how you can actually build a kind of a system based on this architecture, a simple architecture for mental health care monitoring. And then there is a kind of a vehicular networks that can be managed, or the security of vehicular networks that can be managed through blockchain, and it can be used in variety of locations where there is no service, or where there is infrastructure, service infrastructure available and all that. So this can be used in diversified locations. Of course, you can. Right now, the new word, which is private AI, is actually revolving around, and private AI is all about security, the data security and the model security. So basically, you can use these emerging technologies like blockchain and kind of quantum computing and all that to actually bring the higher level security to the data, which is again very concerning issue in IIoT field, or like AI field or data analytics field. So this is a quite a pressing concern. Now, if you will see the spatial computing, there are actually, if you will go to the Ultra Leap, uh, this spatial computing actually uses the audio visual technology, the interaction technology, which is like handheld controllers and hand and body controllers. So you will see the video I'll show you in the subsequent slides. So we'll see that how the AI can be used for recognizing hands, or like recognizing the moving of the hands and all that, to actually uh, help build such a system based on a spatial computing. Recently, actually, EHang, which is Guangzhou based vehicular service system, is using AI for intelligent navigation. Now this can be used like for route solving problems, that which route to take, which can like uh, like which route to take, which can bring this the destination to in minimum time. Or if you have a electrical vehicle that needs charging, so you can route like you can use the route solving problem to see that which electric station is near, and you can go there and start charging your electric vehicle. So that can be done using AI technologies. So this is basically hydrogen artificial intelligence, and why I chose this is that it's already implemented. It's the hydrogen AI project is already in play, and with the emerging technology, which is which is related to hydrogen, so we can actually combine that emerging technology with AI to actually solve some ecological problems. And for the DNA things, like in one of the emerging technologies, it was genome sequencing. So you can use the GANs, like generative adversarial networks, to actually generate a kind of a genome data, and you can use it to it's like combination of two emerging technologies, which is virtual patient, but we are not here for generating a virtual patient. We are here for generating virtual genome. So basically taking some characteristics from one emerging technology and implementing in another to make a new field, or to make a basis for the new field. Now for the proof of realization, I would show you some things. So this was I was talking about with the ultra leap. This idea is for kind of spatial computing, and also these videos are not sponsored, so this is just for showing you the proof of realization that how the AI can be used with emerging technologies. And you can see again that how it can be used for simulations like digital medicine and all that. Now, one thing here I want to add that the Facebook's Oculus is also one of the example for spatial computing here. And this is for the AlphaFold 2, which I have been shouting about since last few slides. So for the future of AI, there can be many techniques or there can be many technologies that could be merged to solve these problems. So these problems are a kind of amalgamation from different fields. So you can see that it relates to autonomous vehicles, it relates to Industry 5.0, it relates to UAV based mobility, it relates to collaborative systems like human robot collaboration, it relates to smart grids, holographic telepresence, uh, personalized body area networks, 6G communication, and all that. So I think that uh, this kind of summarizes that how can you actually use AI in all of that to improve the systems that are already built upon the concepts of emerging technologies. One thing which I'm actually working on, which I designed a concept, it's like again a very uh, rogue concept. Okay, so it's the concept is related to I think my presentation dumped. Let me just, okay, I think it's visible.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, so this is a kind of a very rogue concept about computational offloading, but it is something which I have been working on since some few months. So basically, it's like designing a system that in a case of emergencies, the the data which has been collected by a person which is in need of medical health care could be offloaded if the services are unavailable. So it's like a computational offloading thing with the help of securing it with the help of blockchain network and doing all the stuff. So I cannot go into the details, the technical details, but the idea is to offload the medical data once uh, you can connect to a public network instead. Like if you have a nearby cafe, you can connect to the Wi-Fi of that cafe, so you can just quickly offload that data as soon as possible. And also, uh, we are facing a pandemic, so the triage of AI techniques with respect to the medical things could be done in this way. So this is based on COVID-19, but of course, uh, uh, if we see the viruses or such um, pandemics in future, we can actually use these triage mechanisms to speed up the processes, to speed up the testing process, to speed up the recovery process as well. Also, recently, Google announced TensorFlow Quantum TFQ architecture, an open source library for quantum machine learning in collaboration with University of Waterloo and Volkswagen. So the aim of this architecture is to provide necessary tools to control and model natural or artificial quantum systems. So it is an example of a suite of tools that combines quantum modeling, machine learning techniques. Although quantum AI is an immature technology, there are improvements in quantum computing which increase the potential of quantum AI. However, the quantum AI industry needs critical milestones in order to become a more mature technology. These milestones can be summarized as less error prone and more powerful quantum computing systems, which we have already seen as one of the emerging technologies, widely adopted open source modeling and training frameworks, substantial and skilled developer ecosystem, compelling AI applications for which quantum computing that outperforms the classical computing. So this is a kind of what you say is solving the optimization problem in a way that it could be faster and could be more reliable, but of course it's in early stages and it could be made better once we have more computing power. Okay, so I think I would end my presentation here, and if you have any questions and answers, if you have any questions or any comments, please let me know. uh, so I have the access to unmute anyone right now.
Yeah, everyone can
Yes, sir.
unmute
Is there
yourself
any
so they can ask your question.
yes, sir. Is there any scope of AI neural networks?
Uh, see,
Hello.
neural networks are part of machine learning, and machine learning is part of AI. So neural networks are there since very long time. It's like they are there since 1960s, 1970s. Even the first convolutional neural network was
Any
built in
questions so far,
1990s.
please?
Hello.
Okay, so thank you so much, sir, for your really enlightening delivery. So, before going forward to end this session, I have an important announcement for you guys. As you know that there is a certificate for every attendee. So I have shared a feedback form in the chat box. You guys must have to fill out that form to have certificates. And yeah, I'm sharing this form again and again. So let me share this again, this form. Okay. So finally, thank you everyone for giving us your precious time, and we can make this possible just because of your definitely your valuable presence. Stay with us and stay tuned, because we are going to organize such type of sessions for you people. And finally, if you have any query regarding this presentation, you can ask through sir's email. And another option is that you can simply drop a comment on the recorded video on this session. And yes, this is again, remember you that kindly make sure you have filled the feedback form. So it is time to end this session. Hope you people enjoy throughout this session, and thank you. Take care and stay blessed. Allah Hafiz.